We've got this article from the LA Times talking about planned food safety rules attacking organic farmers. Listen to what they said. They interviewed a guy, his name is Jim Crawford. He's an organic farmer, and he said that the FDA came to him and said, this is my badge. These are the fines. This is what's hanging over your head, and we want you to know that. Just pure intimidation. What are they intimidating them about? Well, they're intimidating them over using natural fertilizer, you know, what we call manure. And it's being pushed by, of course, big agri, big corporations. It's also being pushed by NGOs like the Center for Science and the Public Interest. They're pushing the FDA not to yield to these family farmers, but to shut them down. This is the last statement he had to say. And then I want to get Jerry in Ohio's comments on this. This is what Jim Crawford, the guy that they talked to, said. He said, the public loves to love and idealize us little family farmers, but the vast majority of us are hanging by a thread. Now the government is saying, we're going to put a lot more weight on that thread. What do you think about that, Jerry, in Ohio?
Yeah, like I was telling you, they have these township people, and they drive around, and they're like little mini Nazis. If you have a compost bin, if you don't go to get a permit to have one, they come out and they take pictures of it, and they
the Green Police. The Green Police, like, what's that Audi commercial?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It says creating an America that is filled with snoops. Oh, in so many different ways, we see America turning into East Germany. I talked to William Binney, who was the technical director globally of the NSA until he resigned right after 9/11 because he saw the government violating the restrictions that had been put on them about foreign intelligence surveillance, that they were to keep it foreign. He was somebody who has spent his entire life watching people watching the government in the Soviet Union, watching the government in East Germany. And he said that we are becoming exactly like them. We're going down that path. And it's not just the government spying on people, but it's the citizens who got this
culture.
Exactly. That's what they did in East Germany. It was getting the citizens to report on each other. Now, of course, they've got the technology, and it makes it even worse. But it's just creating this snitch mentality, which is what you're talking about, Jerry.
And also here in Northeast Ohio, they're putting in like these little mini highways through all these small towns, and they're cutting back all the trees, and they're putting in all these cameras. What I was told was that when the uprisings begin and when the cities are burning, that the military are actually going to use the small towns surrounding these big cities to set up command posts.
Yeah.
And also, I've seen some FEMA places also popping up here.
Well, we know that they're training for insurgency within the United States. That's why they just spent $100 million on a fake U.S. city that's more detailed than they've ever done with any of their urban warfare.
And the bullets and the targets of little children, the targets of pregnant women. It's all coming home, and they got cameras all over. They got 40-plus downtown Austin. They need more. They're saying if we had more cameras, we wouldn't have fights, like the viral video, even though there's a camera right where the video was taking place.
Well, they don't like you taking pictures of them, though.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And we just reported on the nightly news that Cisco is competing with IBM in order to create a physical information highway. They're actually going to, you've heard of the Internet of Things. That's where they're connecting our appliances, everything, to the Internet, which, as Petraeus told us a couple of years ago, is going to go.
Dishwasher.
Exactly. So it's going to feed right to us. Well, now they want to do that with the roads. They want the roads to, quote unquote, provide you Internet and social media contact. But then, of course, they're also going to have
tracking.
They're going to, of every aspect of your life, they're going to look at your license plate. They're going to have that in a database. So even after Paul Joseph Watson exposed the fact that, or it was Kidd, I forget which one of our writers found the story, but they saw an RFP from the Department of Homeland Security to create a license database, a car license database.
Exactly.
And then that went viral, and within a couple of days, DHS, Homeland Security said, no, we're withdrawing that.
We're withdrawing that, but we have something worse.
Yeah, exactly. And yet at the same time, you see in the tech world, you see these reports that IBM and Cisco are competing against each other as to who's going to provide the physical information highway that's going to collect all this information, all this data on you, just in the name of, we're going to make it easy for you. We're going to let you have internet all the time in your car. You're going to be able to watch it.
When you go to these cities, these downtown centers, and they say they have the free Wi-Fi, you know, they can spy on you while you're using their thing. And I'm talking about the license plate scanners. Now they have police cruisers. I guess they've had them for a while that can read your license plate. They're just driving around scanning everybody, violating your Fourth Amendment. They have no reason, no probable cause to search you. Also, the red light cameras can do this as well.
Yeah, and they want you to be able to surf the internet and tell them what you're thinking while you're driving along in your driverless car.
Yes.
Okay, which you no longer have control over that anymore either. Let's go to Tony in Idaho. You wanted to talk about the family. We were talking about that earlier, Tony.
Yeah, good to talk to you guys. I heard Glenn Beck when he was talking about the little girl that what all they had doing to her. I hadn't heard that they had put her in foster care, though. What the government does is they're manipulating the law to kind of justify themselves to do a lot of this stuff, and they do it through registration. The people they bring the people up in the schools, and the people aren't taught the law. They don't know what the government's doing or how the government's manipulating the law. But basically, when you allow your baby to be registered with a birth certificate, you're registering that child to the government. And once you do that, then the maxim of law says the source of the right determines the governing law. So when you register it to the government, then they just take it, they have a right to do anything they want.
Exactly. And when you talk about the school system, this whole generation, I guess it happens generation to generation, they'll rob you of some type of practical knowledge. Like we see now in our current military, they're not teaching these young guys about the Bill of Rights. They're not teaching people about constitutional rights. They're
teaching them just the opposite. They're actively opposing it.
They don't want you to know this stuff. So when you come out and into the streets to do whatever duties you have to do, you don't know. You're not conscious of these things, and it happens generation to generation. Just with our current system, there's not going to be a generation who doesn't understand or who hasn't been fed this propaganda that, you know, guns are bad and anybody with a gun is just going to jump out the bushes to kill you, or they're not aware that, you know, there wasn't a time where you didn't have to get a pat down just to get on an airplane or to go see the Super Bowl. This is the conditioning that we see. You're growing up a whole generation in things, and it gets worse generations.
It's normalcy bias. It's the Stockholm syndrome. You know, when I went to school, there weren't any policemen in the schools. We didn't have metal detectors. We didn't have school lockdown. We didn't have any of that stuff. Today, the kids are being raised in a model of a police state. You know, I've said it over and over again, maximum security is actually a prison. That's why they call it prison.
We see, just like I was talking about earlier in San Antonio, with the RFID trackers at the high schools down there, it's prisoner training. You give the kids the little ID badge they have to wear visibly all the time. You stand in this line, you do this, you can't go here without this permission. You have to ask permission to go to the water fountain, just like you do in jail. You know, I used to work in the jail. That's how it worked.
Yeah. If you value security over everything else, you're going to get maximum security, which is a panopticon prison where everything you do is watched. You live your life in this fishbowl that the government superanalyzes everything that you do. In many cases, will jump to the wrong conclusion, make you the enemy. That's what we're coming up to. Thanks, Tony. Let's go to Bregan in Wisconsin. Bregan.
Hey, guys. David, sorry, my speakerphone was on. David, thank you for continuing to pursue the story with Wolfgang. I really appreciate that, and our hopes and prayers are with him.
Yes. And for those people who haven't heard, Wolfgang Halbig is a former state trooper, former educator, a school security consultant who started investigating Sandy Hook because that's what he does. He looks at school security. They want to tell you that all these gun regulations are to keep the children safe, but they don't want school security experts to know anything about the crime scene. And after cover-up after cover-up, after 10 months of trying to get FOIA information, they started threatening him. They started pushing back against him. So we've had him on the Nightly News. We wanted to get him on today, but he had a family emergency. Go ahead, Bregan.
And I have a few questions for Wolfgang, but I'll save that for when he gets back on the show. But one of the primary questions would be, where is all that video? I mean,
that's the question since day one.
Yes.
Yeah, they've exploited all that video from Columbine and every other school shooting and every other mass murder event, and why won't they use it this time? Well, a lot of people suspect that maybe there is no video
Yeah.
showing that very fact. And anyway, thanks again for pursuing Wolfgang, and our thoughts and prayers are with him. I hope he's doing okay.
Well, thank you, Bregan, and thank you for helping us up there in Wisconsin. You've been involved with the raw milk trials that have taken place up there, and you brought Wolfgang to at least my attention. I think the writers found him, but thank you so much for your help and following with us.
Symbols are powerful, and the globalists have hijacked the symbols of America. They've turned them into their own symbols. Well, we are restoring the idea of the true republic, not the counterfeit globalist empire, by promoting the icon George Washington and others. That's why we're rolling out an 100% made in America line of incredible pro-liberty apparel. We are repopularizing liberty. We are helping fellow Americans rediscover what made this country great. We are the spirit of 1776. We are 1776 worldwide. We are all brothers and sisters in arms in the animating contest of liberty in the long march towards humanity's ultimate destiny of freedom. Visit madein1776.com today and vote with your dollars to promote truly made in America, high-quality products, and promote the ideals of liberty.
Now you can watch The Alex Jones Show live as it happens at Infowars.com/show.
You'll find links to all of our content there and a free 15-day trial for Prison Planet TV.
More than 60 movies and documentaries all in one place at Infowars.com/show.